All right, Nick, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh, they've been doing a lot of really good things this season, but I think one move they decided to not do, or one player they moved off of, will prove to be one of their best moves that they made this season. It seemed like it's working out for Pittsburgh and everyone else who tried to get this player. It's really not working out for them. So, a really smart move by the Pittsburgh Steelers front office. Before we get into that, I'm Andrew and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, and I think as Pittsburgh fans probably can figure out, I'm talking about wide receiver Diontae Johnson. Pittsburgh decided to move on from Johnson, trade him. He goes to the Panthers. From the Panthers, bounces from the Panthers. They get traded to him to the Baltimore Ravens. And now it seems like the Ravens may even go as far as to cut Diontae Johnson. Nonetheless, the Steelers definitely look like they're winning that one big time. Let's get into the article and we can talk about it on the other side. This is from SI.com. It says former Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Diontae Johnson may be on his way out of his third NFL team in second this season, as the Baltimore Ravens are hinting that a roster move may be coming. When addressing the situation, head coach John Harbaugh did not shut down the possibility of a release. He said, "At this time, I'm going to have to wait. There's some moving parts that we're going to have to figure out and explore and see where it's at. It's the best I can do in fairness to everybody," Harbaugh said. Johnson was traded to by the Steelers to the Panthers in exchange for cornerback Diontae Jackson during the offseason. At the time, many wondered if this move was fair, as wide receivers hold a higher value than quarterbacks in most instances. Now, it's definitely looking like the Steelers have won that trade by a long shot. Nick, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one, but before we get to you, Pittsburgh fans, in the comment section below, I think this is a defining type of move for this franchise, showing they've done something they haven't really done in the past. They've always stuck with guys for too long. They've given guys contracts when they didn't need to. Even when we're talking about coaches, offensive coordinators, what do you grade this move in hindsight with all parts in effect? We've got Diontae Jackson in here. We see what's happening with Diontae Johnson. It's obviously the right move to move off of him. What do you think? Grade this in hindsight. Let us know in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what do you think about this for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, I think you hit on everything there. This is a Steelers team that ever since they've been in their playoff victory drought since I believe 2016, and it's been an incredibly long time. I mean, that's inexcusable for a franchise like the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've stuck with players, coaches, strategy, schemes too long. They've stayed 2 years long into the party, so to speak. We saw this with Matt Canada. We saw this honestly with Kenny Pickett. We've seen this with a number of players and strategies throughout the last, I'd say, 7, 8 years or so heading into the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this entire year, calendar year 2024, has been a sea change in the Steelers front office. It began when they hired a bunch of analytics people for the first time, just a couple guys just to get them more modern in the front office. Then they moved off Kenny Pickett. They fired Matt Canada. They brought in Arthur Smith. They brought in not one, but two potential starting quarterbacks in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. And of course, they traded Diontae Johnson for Diontae Action Jackson, who's got 5 picks, tied for third in the National Football League. He's had a big impact for this Pittsburgh defense. Obviously, 5 picks is a whole heck of a lot through this point in the season. So this is just a whole new era of Pittsburgh Steelers football. And I think this is why for this entire season, I know a lot of people, myself included at times, have been waiting for Pittsburgh to kind of take a step back and lose a couple games, right? I felt when they lost to Dallas, maybe it was coming. I thought maybe when they lost to Cleveland, maybe it was coming. But they bounced back and they continue to play the brand of football. And I think now we all have to understand this is not just a team with a good record. This is a team that is playing at a very high level on both sides of football. We saw that with Russell Wilson dropping 400 plus against the Cincinnati Bengals in a must-win game for the Bengals at home for Cincinnati. So again, this is a Steelers team that's not, in years past, it felt like their record was better than their talent. This year, we're seeing their talent and their coaching is just on par with their record. And I think this is what This is sort of what the Steelers have planned this entire offseason with move after move after move heading in one direction, and that was change. This was a franchise resistance to change for so many years. The entire offseason, all the way through the regular season, preseason. In fact, even making a change from Fields to Wilson when Wilson got healthy. It's been all about change. It's been all about risk, and it has worked out big time for the Steelers. This sea change, no matter where you look at, whatever position group, front office, players, coaches, every single part of this franchise has been focused on changing and volatility for the better, and it's worked out for them big time. And it's a big reason why they are a serious threat, not just to win the AFC North. They could make a serious postseason run. You look at the AFC right now, who really scares you, right? Obviously, Pittsburgh's beating the Ravens. The Kansas City Chiefs can't beat anybody without luck. And the Bills are good, but they are known for being postseason inefficient. I'll say it like that. There's another word that's a little meaner that describes what Buffalo's been like in the playoffs. I think this Pittsburgh team could make a serious run, and it's moves like this that are the reason why.
Yeah, Nick, and if we look at this roster at Pittsburgh, it's really interesting to me, and a couple of things stand out. It stands out to me that it seems like Pittsburgh has gotten really good, especially over the past 2 years, of weeding through the players they don't need to keep, but also grabbing players from other teams that they think can get a second life on this team. Obviously, the one from the article is Diontae Jackson. But you look around the ball, Van Jefferson starting to come into his own for the Steelers. We talked about both the quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, have won a lot of games for this franchise. Isaac Samalu at the left guard has done a lot of good stuff since coming over a few years ago. Then you look just around the whole ball. Patrick Queen has been a great pass rusher for this team. Deshaun Elliott is one of the higher graded safeties in the NFL right now, and he's one of the highest graded at run defense. You look at Elena Roberts, came over last year. He's doing really good as a linebacker. Just all around the ball, the Steelers are proving that they are letting guys go when they need to, but they're getting other guys from other teams and knowing that they're going to fit into this formula that they have going on and who is going to fit. So I think that's really, really interesting. The other things that they have is they kind of like negate the noise when they need to. Everyone's talking about George Pickens and, silly things he does like finger gun penalty or whatever. But the fact of the matter is he's doing really, really good. He's being phenomenal this year. He's gotten better every single season since he's been here. Progressively, his BFF grades have gone up. So he's done a lot of really good stuff. So I think this Steelers team, they finally have a grasp on this roster, who to keep, who not to keep. And I think they're really going to continue to perfect this going forward.